Isn't it obvious to everyone that Donald Trump, to distract from his failing administration and his attacks on our allies and his tanking of the U.S. economy, is using the Jeffrey Epstein files as a major distractive, shiny object? It's obvious to us every time Donald Trump has a failed policy that gets successfully enjoined in a court of law, or our foreign allies, not adversaries, join together against the United States. Donald Trump trots out some sort of weird pop culture reference. This time, the victims of Jeffrey Epstein are being victimized again by the Trump administration. It's not right. It's depraved. We talk about it on Legal AF, the After Dark edition. Take a listen.
And then you have someone who was covering the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, who was there at the Ghislaine Maxwell trial wearing free Ghislaine Maxwell gear. A lady who was wearing free Ghislaine Maxwell shirts. She was one of the people who was invited to the White House to get these like fake Epstein binders that they gave these MAGA influencers Epstein binders. And they said, and they called these little tiny binders, they called them, they're like, here it is, the Epstein Files. We gave it to you. Here it is. And it's a little tiny binder. And it's his list of like phone contacts. Trump's name is in it. They like redact most of it. We've had those records since 2021 because there were some records that were released in the Ghislaine Maxwell trial, which shows Trump was on the flights at least 7 times. Trump's is in the deposition. We know, although we don't have the grand jury testimony, we don't have the testimony of this victim, but a 14-year-old girl did say that she was brought to Mar-a-Lago by Epstein, who'd be introduced to Trump. We don't know more of that, but a Jane Doe testified at the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. That's the type of documents that I think we'd want to see as part of the release. But they then had these people, one who wore free Ghislaine shirts previously, hold up the binders and like dance like they obtained victory. And then they all like posted the same message, Popok, like victory, we've got the files. And first off, those aren't the files. Those are something that's been produced before. If you want to know what the files are, in law, we can tell you they involve grand jury testimony, witness statements, police reports, photographs, videos, emails, text messages. It's not even tens of thousands. It's probably millions of records in all of the various cases that they said they were going to release. But they gave people a little binder, to distract from all the other mess that they're doing, as they are, Michael Popok, as they are pardoning these January 6th insurrectionists and dismissing the cases on other charges.
Well, the Jeffrey Epstein thing is just a total distractive, nonsensical thing that the government should not be focused on. It just shows you the weird stew of a brain that we're watching with Donald Trump. When you and I, let me take it back for a minute. When you and I talk about a failing presidency, normally in the first 100 days, a presidency is able to point to some sort of accomplishment, okay? Not what the record after almost less than 6 weeks is for this administration, which is financial markets not only roiled, but the American economy starting to be turned off, its engine turned off in a tariff war of Donald Trump's making, at the same time that he cut federal workers who are consumers and their paychecks. At the same time, he entered this trade war with our 40% trading partners, China, Canada, and Mexico, at the same time that he tried to cut off federal spending at the state, not-for-profit, and foreign aid levels, which again, every one of those dollars has an American job behind it, and to do How about not doing all those things at the exact same time? To do that all at the exact same time, the Dow Jones and any measure of stock market health is in the trash since January 20th. The cryptocurrency market, which he touted, we're going to be the head of the cryptocurrency legion in the world, is in the trash, down 30%. And the US dollar, which usually people are like, the dollar's strong. That sounds like a good thing. It's a terrible thing. So the dollar is up. The treasury notes are wrong. He's figured out that the only group he can't attack, because he'll really tank the American economy in the first 100 days, is the Federal Reserve and the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jay Powell, who's the only thing stopping you and me and our audience from a Great Depression right now. For me, is Jay Powell running the Federal Reserve, and not the rest of the people around Donald Trump's cabinet. And I haven't even touched on the 92 cases, the 50 temporary restraining orders, preliminary injunctions, the 2 cases at the United States Supreme Court. And while all that's going on, you have this performative art of, what do you want to know who Doge is? And look at these phony binders about Jeffrey Epstein. And I just pardoned Pete Rose, and the gun charge for the Jan 6 guy that was unrelated to Jan 6. We're going to pardon that too. How does this help one American who voted for Donald Trump or those that didn't in any way, shape, or form? We are watching, in my view, I've been on this planet for 59 years, we are watching the worst start to a presidency in the history of America. And it's not going to get any better, because he's not going to change his ways, and the people around him are meat puppets and enablers. What we watched in the White House, in the Oval Office, of the attack of an ally, the attack of the victim, playing into the hands of Putin, is not the sign of a coherent foreign policy. It's the sign of a deranged madman, who we see in domestic policy and approach, fiscal, monetary, and everything else. And everybody that I've spoken to, and I speak to a lot of people, including Republicans, they want their vote back, because this is not what they voted for. And the Democrats are finally, maybe led by Midas Touch, maybe led by what we've been doing here on Legal AF, but the Democrats in Congress, Hakeem Jeffries, and those in the Senate and the House, the new Democratic National Committee chairperson, are starting to finally find their footing on how to oppose successfully Donald Trump and make a message to the American people that we are for freedom, that we are for justice, that we are for economic security for people, not the other people. And I applaud them. Things that are happening in Congress, statements that are being made under oath there, are being used in the court system. So kudos to the Democrats who are leading the cross-examination of witnesses from the government there. And again, it all comes back to federal judges who are going to get to the bottom of this one way or the other, or people are going to be going to jail. The Jeffrey Epstein thing, I did a hot take on it recently. All of the stuff that is there, except for one small raid they did in 2019 and a small batch of documents, are out in public, have been since the Ghislaine Maxwell trial. You and I covered that 2.5 years ago with the docket entries and all of that. The masseuse list, which Pam Bondi, this is the masseuse list that is linked to Pam Bondi's. That's it. You see the black? That's it. There is no client list for Jeffrey Epstein. I know that because the reporter for the Miami Herald who broke the Jeffrey Epstein story and has been a dogged reporter on it for the last 15 years says there's no list. So they're all waiting for like, oh, here it is. Al Gore, Bill Clinton. You know who's on the list? The flight logs that have been released? Donald Trump, his first wife, Marla Maples, Tiffany Trump, Eric Trump. They're all on the list. They all went to the island. They all got on the plane. Does that mean that they raped underage girls along with Jeffrey Epstein? There's no evidence of that. And the victims here are the ones that are being victimized once again. When you've got Laura Loomer joining with our Ron Filipkowski to say that it's wrong, you know it's wrong. To hand out phony binders, there are still victims that are suing the FBI. There are still victims that are suing the estate of Jeffrey Epstein. Welcome back. That was the Legal AF podcast, 5 years in the making. Every Wednesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Midas Touch Network, and then on audio podcast platforms of your choice. I do hot takes like this about every hour on the Legal AF YouTube channel. Right here, take a moment, hit the subscribe button, or on the Midas Touch channel. And then we've got, of course, that full-length podcast. Join us. If you know about Legal AF, you're already part of our audience. Thank you. Word of mouth, organic. That's how we're growing. We don't have a marketing budget. We don't have a marketing department. We are the network you've been looking for. Help us continue to grow our pro-democracy channel and subscriber base. Hit the free subscribe button on Legal AF and also download and listen to Legal AF, the podcast. So until my next commentary, I'm Michael Popok. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.